content may not be suitable to some audiences. Your discretion is advised. Wrestling POV's content may not be suitable to some audiences. Your discretion is advised. Wrestling POV's content may not be suitable to modern audiences. Your discretion is advised. Wrestling POV's content may not be suitable to modern audiences. Your discretion is advised. Wrestling POV's content may not be suitable to audiences. Your discretion is advised. Wrestling POV's content may not be suitable to audiences. Your discretion
Once upon a time, there was two young men. Men who needed more out of wrestling than ridiculous headbands, eating vitamins, saying prayers, or trying to rip their shirts off vainly. This is the story of the legend and the gentleman. Two young Canadian boys who, you know what, Tony, they don't speak American, so ha ha ha. Who speak the best Canadian, and they search the world to find you wrestling that doesn't suck. Hey folks, I'm your host, the legend TJ Logan, and with me, the gentleman Elio Canella. That's right, we are WPOV Global. You know what? I want to get one thing out of the way right now. Now I know we have people who listen to our show, and I know they're the same audience that listen to WPOV podcast. Mm-hmm. So how come they seem to not have problem with Canadian speak? Because as far as I can tell, except maybe sounding a little classier, there's nothing wrong with Canadian speak.
I tuned into last week's show. To the show 2 weeks ago. I understood everything you said.
But again, you are Canadian, so they will use that against you. But you know what, folks? It's okay. It's okay. We understand guys like Tony in their advanced age, who used to wrestle and probably took a lot of head trauma, probably have a hard time getting over the fact we use 3-syllable words here on the show. I get that. And so Tony, we'll kind of, for you, we'll Tony Americanize our show today, and we'll try and talk in 1-syllable words to see if we can keep you strung along the whole time. Does that sound fun, Elio?
That sounds like fun.
Now that sounds like crap. That goes in the book of shame. Anyhow. You know what, folks? We had an incredible week of wrestling again. Once again, Elio, first of all, before I start my ranting and raving, how was your week, brother?
My week was pretty awesome. It started last Thursday night, actually. I had to sit down. I don't usually follow sports really closely, but last Thursday I had to sit down and watch the NBA Finals. And watch Toronto bring the championship. And watch Toronto bring the championship home.
Well, it seems like every Canadian in the world was sitting down with you.
Yeah, and there was a huge parade on Monday. Yeah, like yesterday, actually.
You know what, Elio? In Canada, there's currently, maybe 30 million citizens? Maybe. Probably a little less than that. They estimated there was 8.5 million Canadians watched the NBA Finals. That's a freaking big... And sure, that's not big compared to the amount of people in the United States, but when you think of percentage-wise... If we only have 30 million and 8.5 of us are watching, that's a big number. Yeah, wow. Did you go to the parade?
I didn't go to the parade. No.
Elliot, did you go to the parade?
No, I didn't go to the parade.
No. Okay. That's too bad. You could have had a better week. No. You could have had girls jumping out of cakes. It might have been something interesting. Well, you know what, folks? Usually, at this time of the year, I was looking forward to the fact that we might have a bit of a break in some of the wrestling, because usually by now New Japan takes a tiny bit of a break around this time before the G1. Not so much this year, because they expanded the length of the Best of Super Juniors. They're currently on the road to dantaku, finishing with dantaku, and then we go right into the G1. There is no rest. I am watching wrestling left and right. Thank God I love this stuff, because I have seen a lot.
See, that's what confused me before we went on air when you mentioned Road to Dantaku, because I was that's the same one that we've been watching, right? Or it's a different one?
No, that is a different one. We were watching the best of Super Juniors, and then
Okay.
the Road to Dantaku is a whole different thing because it's an actual. There's an event called Dantaku. We watched Dominion, is what we were talking about.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. So you could probably get confused with the names. Dominion is the culmination of some of the things that happened during the best of Super Juniors, including the finals, plus some of the main event thing, like some of the minor things that happened with the heavyweights. Now Don Taco is a whole nother event, and it's right now it's a bit hazy of who
Right.
they're looking at, but I have a feeling that maybe we might see Minoru Suzuki taking on Kazuchika Okada for the heavyweight title. It seems like they're booking a
Oh,
lot of Chaos versus what's his group, Suzuki-gun, and it seems like a lot of it is Suzuki facing off with Okada. So that's usually a hint of what's coming up.
NJPW events confuse me. They all string together for me.
Well, I got to tell you, because so many fans now watch New Japan. It used to be there would be kind of when we first even started the show, we'd have we'd have a week or two where there would be no New Japan shows, where we'd have we had to
Right.
scramble to cover other stuff. That's not the case anymore. They're doing so successful right now that they're adding more and more shows, and they're also taking more of the shows, the house shows they've done, and they're filming them and using them. So we are
Okay.
seeing like everything coming out of New Japan, and it's a lot. Well, before we get into New Japan, we have some interesting stuff to talk about this week. Let's get
Okay.
into the news, all right? And there is a
All
lot
right.
of news this week, and
A whole
I'm gonna get
lot.
yeah. I gotta admit there have been weeks where we come along and I'm struggling to find news stories. It's like. And there, I think I've even had an episode or two where I didn't even do any news stories because there really wasn't much going around in the at least big news in the indies. But there is a bunch of interesting maneuvers and things going on right now. First of all, I want to talk about something from MLW, and that was the case of
Okay.
Daga. Do you remember? He's a Mexican strong style. He calls himself.
I
Feud a bit with
remember
Low
Daga.
Key.
Yep. Yep.
Yeah. Well, last week,
Yep.
after our show that we did last week, MLW announced that they had fired Daga because he had blew off some dates, and they found out that he had booked himself in Mexico, and as a result, they were upset by this, so they felt he wasn't giving them priority, so they fired him. Just like they did Puma King a
Wow.
couple months ago. Now, usually that would be just the end of the
Okay.
story. However, Daga, who is romantically linked with Tessa Blanchard currently, Tessa Blanchard went
Uh-oh.
to social media and she described their side of the events, saying Daga did not blow off an event. And she explained what had happened was he had legitimately taken time off to go to a christening of Ray Phoenix's child in Mexico. And while he was
Okay.
down there for the christening, uh, just to help out Phoenix and those guys, he just appeared on a show that they did because he just happened to be in town.
Okay.
MLW saw it as he said he couldn't make their show and went and did another show purposely, and she's saying that's not the case. He just happened to do the show while he was down there for something totally different. He wasn't down there to wrestle. It just ended up because he was in town after the christening, he figured he'd do his friends a favor and appear on a show. So as of
Right.
yet, MLW has not had any response to this news story. So I'm curious to see what's going to happen there.
Yeah,
Now,
that should be interesting.
now, sticking in news from Mexico and a bit about Mexico, I want to talk a bit about Scarlett Bordeaux.
Okay.
A lot of people may have seen on social media some disturbing picture of a fan groping her at a AAA event in Mexico, and that alone is, first of all, that's a terrible thing, fans. I just want to go say this right out. I go to many wrestling shows, and I think if I had been there and I saw a fan grope a female wrestler who happened to be up against the railings, I'd probably go punch that guy because, dude, that's just assault. You're just assaulting a woman. So that's not cool. I get that she dresses
And
all sexy and she's super cute, but that doesn't mean you have the right to touch her.
right?
Now,
And this is why I say I don't like hate like fans, but I just like hate the fans of today because of the way they act at these live events.
yeah, I mean it's pretty disgusting and keeping along with Scarlett Bordeaux, it was also announced this week that Impact Wrestling released her. She had been asking for her release. It's obvious she she has something about her. She's a very good looking lady. I think she could be signed by anybody. So, Impact was holding her back, but we do know that her contract wasn't exactly like a regular contract. It was like she was only paid by appearance.
Right.
So, they didn't really have too much of a legal foot to hold her on. So they did release her. Now this I don't want to sound conspiracy too, but it makes me wonder the timing of this. I mean, she was down at the request of Impact at Mexico and have this thing happen to her, and maybe it's just Impact's way of saying, "Hey, we're sorry this happened. We know you wanted to be released, and let's just part on good terms." That could be part of the thing there. Nothing official. That's just my conjecture on that. Okay. Now, talking about Scarlett Bordeaux, we have to also then look at Killer Cross, who is her partner, and he has been making all sorts of noise about trying to get a release or at least a bump in pay deservative of what he brings to Impact. And from what I understand is Impact is not budging. They are not going to give him more money and they are not going to let him out of his contract. So I'm not sure how far that situation goes, if he's going to sit it out eventually, is he just going to keep wrestling he just may keep wrestling till his contract's done, but it seems a really hard situation for Killer Cross. So you got to feel for him because he's definitely one of the top stars in Impact, but he is definitely not being paid anywhere. The amount of
and apparently he even put out a video where he called out John Moxley.
Yeah, I guess that's something everybody's going to be doing these days. So now turning to a few more interesting movements going on. Right now, some of them involve MLW and people in MLW. First of all, we know that Savio Vega will be coming on July 25th to MLW. Exciting old
There's
WWE wrestler.
From the past.
There is a name for the past, you bet. Savio Vega, I mean, fans who came over from my old show and have been listening to us know that I dealt with Savio Vega about 2 years ago. For at least a year, he was sending me all sorts of information about his promotion down in Puerto Rico. And he would send me videotapes and things that we used to put on our old television show. And he was a really nice guy to work with. And I'm glad to see that he is coming back to the U.S. Well, I guess technically Puerto Rico is still an American protectorate, but it is nice to see him in the continental U.S. and finally being in front of a bigger audience.
And I remember him even before Quang. I remember when he used to be called TNT, managed by Skandor Akbar.
Yes, back in the day, eh? Yeah. Yep. Fantastic wrestler. Yes, he's probably a lot older now. Probably, he'll probably be like along the lines of Conan, only, they're talking of using him as maybe a wrestler coach for a while, where he'll do some behind the scene things working with guys, but also be doing a bit of wrestling in front of the camera. So I'm excited to see that. Also sticking with MLW, well, first of all, let's talk about Davey Boy Smith, who is one of the MLW mainstays. I currently, and I'm going to talk about this in our next segment, we're going to talk about New Japan. I was very shocked that Davey Boy Smith Jr. hadn't been entered into the G1. The reason being is he's actually left the company. He's parted ways with them. He was very unhappy with the irregularity.
Oh, wow. Okay.
He was unhappy that they didn't use him very much. He'd keep going to Japan. Okay. They'd book him, a match here or there, always with Lance Archer, never on his own. And I think he just got to the point where he just felt like, if they're not really going to use me, right now he's a hot name in the U.S. Everybody wants, he's very popular in MLW. I know Impact would die to get their hands on him. And AEW would love to have Davey Boy Smith Jr. The guy's amazing. So I find that, being a big fan of New Japan, sad, because he didn't really get any kind of chance to be a singles wrestler in New Japan. He was always in tags, and even then, always as just one of the heavies for Suzuki-gun. So sad to hear that part of the story.
So I guess Lance Archer's on his own then.
Sorry, you cut out. I guess Lance Archer. He's still part of Suzuki-gun. I guess Lance.
Okay. No, I mean as a tag team wrestler.
Well, Suzuki-gun's got about 6 guys in it, so I'm pretty sure they can find him another. I mean, he may go singles, but I kind of have my doubts, just in the sense that they didn't let Davey Boy do it, and he's far better a wrestler than Lance Archer is.
Right.
Now we're going to talk about this, and I guess this will be a bit of a spoiler on MLW's report this week. There was a
Okay.
loser leave town match with Sami Callihan did in fact lose, and we're going to go over that and talk about it. However, backstage and behind the scenes, people were talking about the fact that it was originally the storyline was going to be that Sami was going to lose and then come back under a mask, like the Midnight Rider type thing where you knew it was Sami,
Oh
but nobody
no.
could prove it sort of deal to keep this war
Oh
with him.
no.
But apparently, in that loser leave town match, which we're going to talk about, it was a false count everywhere. And apparently, Callahan did some extensive damage to the building prior to the
Oh.
match and
Oh
during the
wow.
match. And apparently, MLW executives were not happy. They were actually quite irate and were happy just to let him go. So that's now. As I know, you are a big fan of Sami Callihan, and I know you're
I'm sure
probably
you're
crying inside.
I'm sure you're mistaken.
You know how happy we are, and we'll get into that after. But you know what, Sammy, take your drooly ass body somewhere else. Okay, and and one of the interesting things that I find, and just as being a fan of Mexican wrestling, we're still looking forward to seeing Dr. Wagner Jr., who will be showing up pretty soon, and his son, Hio de la Wagner, who will be showing up pretty soon in some MLW tapings. So some interesting stuff on that front.
Wow.
Now,
Okay.
Elio, that is the
All
news
right.
that I have. Is there
Yes,
anything that
sir.
you have to add into this week's news?
Well, I have some I have some MLW news. Austin Aries, who is going to be debuting in MLW, he will make his return to New York City at the Never Say Never event on July 25th at the Melrose
Ooh.
Ballroom.
And who will he be fighting? Have they announced it?
Doesn't no, there's no announcement.
Okay, then
who his opponent will be.
There's only one other big question I have to ask you then.
Okay.
Did they sign his banana? Remember how he used to always eat a banana?
Say it again.
Did they sign his banana? Remember he used to always be eating a banana backstage in every WWE thing? I'm just curious if he's going to keep that crap up.
No, I don't know.
Probably.
Do we have a future? Do we have a future book
poll?
entry?
Is the banana the secret to Austin Aries' success? And when the banana went brown, the WWE let him go. No, yeah, okay, sorry. And I know the other news item you were going to talk about really quick. I know it has to do with Jon Moxley.
The other news item was about Jon Moxley. He will be missing the G1 Climax opening day on July 6th, as well as the press conference, but will join the tour on July 13th in Tokyo, Japan.
Well, I was going to talk about that as one of the surprise entrants, but so thanks for ruining that, Elio, into the G1. No, I'm kidding. No, that's kind of weird that he's going to miss like a day or two of the tournament. I wonder how they're going to are they going to take away points, give him points? It's weird that you can't participate in it's a round robin tournament. And he's going to miss at least a match or two. So that'll be interesting. That's all I'm going to say. Now, this week, folks, we had a poll, and we have a poll every week, but this week our poll talked about an AEW double or I'm having a problem saying AEW and double. Oh my lord.
AEW double or nothing.
There we go. Was the match of Cody Rhodes versus Dustin? Was that a contender for a match? Contender of the year match for? Oh my goodness! What? Was this match a possible contender of the year match? We took it to the polls. First of all, Elio, what did you think?
I thought this was a really good match. The blood was a little much. I mean, as soon as he cut himself, that was and I saw all that blood. But other than that, I thought it could be a contender.
Now you know what. This question, sometimes, when you're looking for things, you may, like just the sheer amount of wrestling we watch, sometimes we may not look at something the right, with an eye as much as we should. I've got to admit, I've seen this match, and I didn't really pay as much attention to it. And when it was proposed as a question, I went back and watched the match again, and I was like, wow, this actually is a really tremendous match.
Yep.
Now, 81% of you said, hell yeah. And 19% said nope. So that makes me wonder, Helio, should we add this one into our bank of matches for the year?
I think we should definitely enter this one into the bank of matches for the year.
All right, then let's make that official, folks. We
All
will
right,
add.
so in the
Mhm.
so new entry, Cody versus Dustin Rhodes from AEW Double or Nothing.
Well, yeah. Anyways, so that was our poll.
And-
Thank you for everyone who participated. There was an incredible amount of numbers for this one, and thank you, fans. Continue to.
That was the highest number on any of the polls we've had.
Yeah, it was pretty incredible. I think that's really neat. Now, fans, what I'd like to do now is move on to our New Japan report. And New Japan this week, there is a lot of things to talk about.
Okay.
We have. We're going to talk about the G1 tournament. We're going to talk about the names that have been announced as participants. But before we start, there's an event coming up called dantaku, which I know Elio confused with Dominion, but dantaku is its whole thing. And we had, they do their, just like the Road to WrestleMania, they actually did the Road to dantaku matches this week. And so far, 2 nights had come forward. It's sort of funny because something really big happened on the first night, and not a lot of all that much interest had happened on the second night. The first night featured in the main event the IWGP Junior Heavyweight Champions Sho and Yo defending their titles against the Bullet Club members of El Phantasmo and Tajiri Ishimori, who you know as the Bone Soldier. Well,
Right.
folks, those guys, the Bullet Club, managed to squeak the win out and are the new IWGP Tag Team belts.
Wow.
Really interesting, really good match. Like I said, obviously they see a lot in El Phantasmo. We talk about him all the time. And in keeping with the spirit of his new dastardly ways, he won the match by punching Sho right in the testicles when the referee wasn't looking.
Oh.
Straightforward punch, straight in the dick.
I'm telling you, what a heel. I'm telling you, what a heel. What a heel.
He is such a heel. He's a Canadian boy heel. See, fans, what happens when Canadian boys go bad? They punch dicks. That's why I'm always going to be nice to Elio, because I don't want him to take the plane down here and punch me in the dick when I'm going to work or something like that. That's the last thing I need. Anyhow, other things to note in this tournament, it seems to me that the things seem to be angling towards possibly an Okada defending his title against Minoru Suzuki at Otaku. That could be at one of the main events. That is one thing that seems to be kind of a lining up. You know what I mean? They did a lot of Chaos versus Suzuki-gun, which went both nights. One of the interesting things, and we'll get into this list, but do you know who's not entered in the G1 this year?
Who's not entered?
Well, who would be the one guy in New Japan that you do not want to piss off? So by not putting him in the G1, you've probably made the angriest man in New Japan even madder. And he has been mad since he found out he wasn't in. He has been on a tear. Any ideas?
Nope.
Minoru Suzuki is not in this year's G1. And he is taking it out on everybody he's getting in the ring with.
Oh, wow.
Usually he wrestles angry. Man, he is like a pissed off bag of bees. I mean, he is like, he's kind of frightening right now. So
I don't think I'd want to know what it's like to be Minoru Suzuki and be mad 24 hours a day, 7 days a week.
He must I mean, the guy is walking rage, and it's bad enough to tick him off, but he is, I mean, we're going to go over this right now. We're going to talk about, we're going to announce both Block A and B of who made it into this tournament. And I can see why Minoru Suzuki is really pissed off, because 2 of his members of Suzuki-gun have made it in, including one we rarely see. And if that doesn't got to piss him off, I'm not sure which would.
Uh-oh.
All right. So let's look at, first of all, and what we're going to do, fans, we're just going to announce the names this week. Next week, we are going to go over Block A and talk about these competitors and make some predictions about Block A. And the next week after that, we're going to go over Block B and talk about who we think will come out of there and who we think overall we see as becoming the winner of this. Remember, the winner of the G1 Climax gets... Now, this is what I like, okay? at first it's going to sound like the WWE, and you're going to go, ugh. Okay, the winner gets a contract that's in a briefcase that you carry around. And you're thinking, okay, that's rip off of WWE, but it's not. Because, number one, they can't cash that in anytime.
Okay.
Okay? That is a guaranteed title shot at Wrestle Kingdom. Well, I'm just about lost there. At Wrestle Kingdom, they get a guaranteed title shot with that. But you know what else is weird along the way?
What's that?
Well, it's after this event. It'll be almost 6 months before then. They actually have to defend that contract a few times before they get there. They could lose it.
Oh, wow. Okay.
Somebody else could come along and take that away. Now, every year the G1, the champion is put into the tournament. Kazuchika Okada is the current champion. He is entered into the tournament, automatic entry. If Okada, now this is just a tournament, so he can lose every match. He doesn't lose his belt. His belt's not up for grabs, okay?
All right.
If he loses, however, anybody who pins him, submits him, or beats him by time count out will get an automatic title shot.
Okay.
Sometime after the tournament. So that also includes the U.S. champion who got his a bye into the tournament, and also the Intercontinental champion. Any of those three guys get pinned by anyone, that's who will get title shots against them.
Okay.
So now, if Okada, whoever wins this, member gets a shot against presumably Okada, if Okada's still champion at the end of the year. But if Okada wins it and he's the champion, he gets to pick his opponent at the end of the year.
Oh, okay. All right.
And if Okada wins it and happens to lose the title, he will get a major shot at his title back at Wrestle Kingdom. So, a lot on the line for Kazuchika Okada. Now, let's take a look at Block A. Here's the first members that'll be into this tournament, okay? The first 10 guys, Block A. Champion Kazuchika Okada.
Yes.
Definitely a favorite. British Rev Pro champion Zack Sabre Jr.
Mm-hmm.
Hiroshi Tanahashi, the ace of New Japan. He's entered in there.
Okay.
Kota Ibushi.
Right, Kota Ibushi.
Evil.
Mm-hmm.
Now here's where things get interesting. In the same block, his tag team partner Sonata. They're going to have to face each other once during this tournament.
Oh, that should be interesting.
Bad Luck Fale.
Yep.
Junior champion Will Ospreay.
Mm-hmm.
Now, here's where I think that this has got to make Suzuki more pissed off than anything. Lance Archer has been entered in.
Wow. Uh-oh.
And, are you ready for this one?
I'm ready for this one.
The last person to be entered in is Kenta.
Yes.
Do you remember who Kenta is? Former NXT wrestler. What did they call him there?
Hideo Itami.
Yeah, Hideo Itami is now back in Japan wrestling as Kenta. He's got an entry into the tournament.
We share the same birthday. How about that?
Oh, are you guys the same age? Moving on to Block B. Entered in Intercontinental Champion Tetsuya Naito.
Okay.
Never Open Heavyweight Champion Tomohiro Ishii.
Mm-hmm.
Juice Robinson.
Yep.
Toru Yano. Hiroki Goto. Jay White. Shingo Takagi.
Mm-hmm.
John Moxley.
Yep.
Your favorite Tai Chi.
I'm sure you're mistaken. Even though I did like Phantom of the Opera, but that's another story.
And the last entrant in Block B, friend of this show, definitely a surprise for me, Jeff Cobb. So this is a stacked G1. There are some really good wrestlers in this year.
There are.
I am surprised. The only entrant that I don't see here that I wish I enjoy seeing every year is Tama Tonga, who usually puts on he usually really shines in this tournament. So I'm surprised he did not make it in this year.
Now, I know they have tag team matches during this event as well, don't they?
Yes, they do. And they are the current champions. Yeah. But usually Tama Tonga is one of the more standouts in this tournament. He usually cranks it up. You don't see him wrestle a lot as a singles.
Right.
So I was looking for it. Like in last year's tournament, and that's one of the reasons they talked about not letting him in this year, is him and the Bullet Club just pulled off all kinds of crap constantly.
Oh,
you know? Him and, I'm even surprised they let Fale in because last year they just constantly interfered, constantly got themselves disqualified. They didn't care. They were just in there screwing around, trying to hurt people.
Wow.
And trying to prove that the Bullet Club was still relevant. And it is, obviously. Now, this one's G1 Climax. I'm looking forward to it. We have been taking our vitamins. We've been doing our exercises. We've been praying to Alanis Morissette nightly, which we do anyway, so that doesn't really matter. But we are getting prepared. And are you ready, Elio? We got a hell of a lot of wrestling coming up in the next month.
I'm ready.
All right. So, folks, the G1 Climax coming soon. First, we got dantaku to deal with. Then we're off to the big tournament. So, folks, that's this week's roundup of New Japan Wrestling. You know what? We're going to take a little bit of break here. When we get back, we're going to get into our 3 other shows and maybe take a look at that old Book of Shame and see what's going on there. So,
all right,
folks, we'll be back in a minute.
This is the American Nightmare, Cody Rhodes, and you are listening to the Wrestling POV podcast.
Hello, this is Miguel Cole from the Wrestling POV podcast. Wrestling POV and Wrestling POV Global is affiliated with the Collar and Elbow brand. Go to collarandelbowbrand.com and save yourself 10% by using promo code WPOV. Collar and Elbow has t-shirts, hoodies, sunglasses, and more. And the best part, you're helping out your local indie wrestlers. And you're helping out the best wrestling podcast of all, Wrestling POV and Wrestling POV Global. You don't want to miss out. So save yourself 10% by using promo code WPOV. Oh my goodness!
Hey, folks, we're back. Lots of rest for me. Elio, I'm ready for round 2. Are you ready to do this, man?
I'm ready.
Oh, okay, there you go. All right, folks, let's take a look now. We're going to cross the pond.
I'm ready.
We're going to cross the pond, head over to Glasgow, Scotland, where this week's WWE NXT UK takes place at. Elio, take it away.
All right, so NXT UK this week kicked off with tag team action. We had the team of Ginny and Jazzy Gabbard defeating Zaya Brookside and Isla Dawn.
Isla Dawn.
But yeah, Jazzy overpowered Zaya Brookside and controlled most of the match, and she delivered the Canadian backbreaker, planting Zaya face first, and then Ginny, of course, tags in for the 3 count and gets the 3 count.
Now,
so
you made a really good thing here. You made a good point before the show. We were talking, and you described Jazzy Gabbard as the Walter of the women's division.
Yep.
She is dominant, man. She is a big woman, and she used to wrestle as the alpha female across Europe. It's she's going to be something to deal with, and I can hardly wait to the inevitable day that she's just tired of Ginny's bullshit and just slaps the sparkle off her face. You know what I'm saying?
Well, I mean, this is already a start because Ginny's already playing that heel that always wants to tag in and get the 3 count and say, she won the match for the team.
Yeah. I think they call that the chicken shit heel, and that's definitely what Ginny is. She's a chicken shit heel if there ever was one.
And then we had the spotlight on Ligero.
Yeah, next.
Then we got the comments from Kenny Williams on the match between Mandrews and Noam Dar. In the next match, we had Ilya Dragunov defeating Joseph Connor. Dragunov hit the Torpedo Moscow for the win in this one.
What do you think? Dragunov's starting to look a little
guy?
interesting. I'm starting to see what people see in him a bit. I mean, he still isn't. He's a lot smaller than Walter, but I mean, I think there's something there, and I'm going to give him another week or two.
I was going to say, I still need to see a bit more. Like, I'm still not sold on him. I want to give him a bit more time before I really say whether or not I
get that.
I like him, but the eyes, those eyes that he has, the contacts, the red and white.
Yeah, but at least he's not, pretending he's like a wild boar and primate and that crap. At least, you know what I mean? I can deal with some.
Oh my god! Don't get me started on those ones. Oh my god! Don't get me started. Don't get me started on those 2 guys. Because we saw them this week too.
Yeah, I know. I had to throw that in there because I knew you were going to talk about them. Dragunov, I think I'm starting to come around a bit on him. I think that there's something special about this guy, and I think he's going to make a good impact. And not the crappy Impact Wrestling, but an Impact. Okay.
I just didn't know what to think when we first saw him, and that whole intense wrestling in this debut match. I was like, okay, that was interesting. So next we had a promo by Tony Storm. I'm sorry, these women can't cut promos.
No,
you just can't.
No, they can't. Seriously, there is not a girl.
Of course, they announced next.
Sorry, I just got to say this. There is definitely not a girl on NXT UK, except Rhea Ripley, that can cut a promo. I mean, even what's the big Piper Niven? Even she has terrible promos. I mean, these girls need to work on this stuff.
Yeah. Apparently Tony Storm called out Kaylee Ray in this promo, saying that she's going to hold on to the championship forever. She calls it the shiny.
The shiny. Interesting.
I don't know.
Well, it's better than being the dully dull.
I don't. For the announced next week, there'll be a battle royal to determine the number one contender to that UK Women's Championship.
Then we
took a look at Travis. Sorry.
No, it's okay. Sorry. Go on.
Then we had a Travis Banks exclusive looking at his journey to become a number one contender to Walter's title. And in the main event, it was Imperium defeating British Strong Style when a mystery person walked down to ringside and powerbombed Trent Seven, allowing Marcel Barthel to cover him for the win, and the mask came off, and we have a fourth member in Alexander Wolf.
Yeah. What did you think of that?
I don't know. It's an interesting addition. I'm not sure what to make of that one.
Yeah.
I mean, the three of them, that works. Marcel Barthel, Fabian Eichner, and Walter, but adding a fourth one, I don't know if they really need one.
Yeah.
A fourth member.
And especially considering Alexander Wolf wasn't exactly the most... I get that maybe because he's German he fits into this group, but I don't know. He just never had a lot of personality and a lot of... I never really saw a lot in the guy back when he was with the Sanity.
We never really saw much from him, like in Sanity. We saw more from Killian Dane.
Yeah. So, I don't know. I guess that's an interesting direction. Let's see where that goes.
So that's the NXT UK for this week. That's NXT UK for the week. What
did you think? What kind of rating are you going to give it this week?
I'm gonna... the main event was... I might go with a C on this one.
Oh, okay. I'm going to go with a B.
I did like the Dragunov match. No, I'm saying I like the Dragunov match.
Okay. I'm going to give it a B-. I thought the main event was good. Maybe not so keen on the end. The Dragunov thing was good.
Right.
It was cool to see Jazzy Gabert, and man, the promos by the women are something that definitely sucks the air out of it. And is there anyone in this world, including Travis Banks' mother, who thinks he has a chance against Walter? Because yeah, okay. Good luck with that. I think
he's not gonna win though. He's not gonna beat Walter.
No. I think Ligero had even more of a chance, and that dude has no chance. All right. So we got a B- and a C. Okay, that's a weak start for the. Let's move on to MLW Fusion, and this week,
MLW Fusion.
This week was another Fusion. This week was another episode produced by Selena De La Rente? I never know how to say her name right. But Selena, now here's one thing that I think is cool. Okay, every time they let her do this, she gets to book the matches, and it's a whole different flavor. But they do even little things, which I find really unique, like even changing the opening credits and music for this episode.
I know, yes. That's cool. I like that.
Yeah, I thought that was a cool touch. Now, we start off our show, of course, with Selena sitting around talking about how she's going to do this or that. They had this dumb little thing in the beginning where they had Sami Callihan and Vance Warner outside arguing. And I didn't understand this at first, but they weren't allowed to get in the building even though they're supposed to be in the main event.
Yeah, that doesn't make sense to me. What? I was trying to figure out, like, wait, why? Why?
Yeah, I don't understand
they're in the main event.
But as it was, they have this kind of friendly arguing going on amongst each other. And Jimmy Havoc, oh God, Jimmy Havoc of all people shows up to be the guy to...
Yeah, Jimmy Havoc told Sammy to calm the fuck down.
Yeah. There was a few times they actually picked up swears on today's episode. Yeah. We'll get to that in a minute. I'll tell you another one that I noticed that popped out right away. The main event, we had the debuting Flamita taking on Ray Oris. Because, Selena made a big point of saying that Rich had been mispronouncing his name. Flamita's interesting.
Which is horrible.
Flamita's interesting. I mean, he's kind of bigger looking for a luchador. But I don't know why the hell he was trying to do the floss a couple times during that match. The first time the fans booed the shit out of him. which is really, it's a dance for like 13-year-olds who play Fortnite, so I'm not exactly sure why he thought it was a good idea to try this.
I saw that when he started dancing. I was like,
Yeah.
wait, what's going on?
Yeah, that's a terrible, already dead internet dance called the floss. So I don't understand why that even was tried.
I don't even know. I just know Fortnite because my cousins asked me to download it for them when I went to Italy one year.
Don't lie, you spend all your time playing Fortnite. I know.
I'm streaming only when I'm drunk.
Oh, so you're always playing Fortnite. Got it. One thing I want to point out about this match, we have seen Ray Horace now fight quite a few times. This is the best I've ever seen him wrestle. For a while, I was starting to think, why are they focusing on this guy? He doesn't bring much to the table, but this match with Flamita was very, very good.
I was reading some of the comments on YouTube when I was watching the show. Mm-hmm. And someone said that this match and the Mance Warner one should be contenders for match of the year.
Well, I gotta say, I don't know if I would go that far with the first match, but there was some really cool things in it, including where do you remember when he went, Horace goes running and then does like leaps over the top rope, flips just almost over the turnbuckle to land on Flamita on the outside. That was a pretty cool move. It was really good. I really liked this match. Flamita picking up the win, but Ray Horace, for the first time I think I've seen him finally look like a main event guy. I've been struggling with him for a while, so he sold me this time. We get back, we have a thing from Tom Lawler talking about Contra Unit and how he's bringing in the Von Erichs to help him, yada, yada, yada.
I have a question. Is it just me or does Ross look a little like Trent 7?
He does. I was thinking that too. Only not as fat. But yes. Ouch. The next match. I was actually looking forward to this match, but it really wasn't much of a match. Was Low Ki taking on Ricky Martinez. And the setup being here, Martinez and Low Ki had been in the same team, in the same organization with Selena. And when the Contra Unit came out 2 weeks ago, with Martinez and Low Ki were there, Martinez bailed and left Low Ki to get his ass kicked by Contra Unit. So this was sort of a revenge match, and Martinez spent a lot of the time running around trying to avoid Low Ki. Finally, Low Ki gets in there, pretty much kicks the crap out of him, and then knocks him out with a very awkward blow. I actually had to rewind that and watch it to say, what, he knocked him out? Like, it didn't really look like the kind of move that would knock you out, but apparently it knocked out Martinez.
It was different seeing Low Ki like getting cheered for once.
Yeah, that was. I'm sure he hasn't heard that in a very long time. It ends up with him leaving. Martinez knocked out. Selena in there arguing with him, and him sort of like laughing at her. Mm-hmm. They cut to a part later where they had Selena yelling at Martinez. And she says, every fucking time you fail me. And I'm like, whoa, that's twice now they've cranked up the swears.
Everyone's leaving Promozione Dorado.
Yeah, oh no, they got Jimmy Havoc.
Yeah, how long is he going to be before, how long will it be before he leaves and gets tired of Selena and leaves?
We've seen a kind of interesting video about Dr. Wagner Jr. coming to MLW. Mm-hmm. Then we got to see another. Okay, I'm going to say this now. As much as we get on the case of the, what do they call it, the H2 things, right? That the Hart Dynasty does. Whenever you get vignettes from the Dynasty, they're even worse. Oh, I can't stand those guys.
And we're talking about MJF and Richard Holiday, right?
Yeah, and that big muscle mutant.
Hammerstone.
Hammerstone's the worst. That guy has zero presence and piss poor mic work. Just terrible. But I give him credit. When they were making fun of Teddy Hart, they almost MJF actually channeled the spirit of Teddy Hart, because he actually kind of he talked like Teddy Hart for a minute or two, which was pretty funny. But all right, moving on. The match that I know me and you were having a heck of a time. You know, it was getting interesting with Sami Callihan almost becoming a good guy. Our old buddy Matt's getting to let loose. they have this brawl, and you know what really struck me about this brawl?
What's that?
Was the fact that you usually see the kind of violence and things in this match you usually see on these grainy backyard videos or really low budget wrestling places. So it was weird to see such a well shot match, but having such crazy shit happening left and right. You know, brawling into the concession stand, brawling into the souvenir stand. And I don't like this part, but Sami Callihan pulls out a staple gun. He staples a dollar bill to each of Mance Warner's arms and then one to his forehead. I hate that crap. But then something else very disturbed me in this match. Two things disturbed me. First of all, when they went to sit down to do this, they've been fighting, and they sit down and put chairs across from each other, and they're going to take turns punching each other.
Okay.
And Rich had this great line where he said, "Hey, I think this reminds me of a movie or something," which it totally is from. And they go to wind up, and Sami Callihan spits like the biggest goober of spit in Mance's face. I just, he just disgusts me. And then, oh my Lord. The fact that Sami Callihan did this makes him gross, but let's face it, Mance Warner had to let him do this. There came a point in the match where there was the door, there was like, I don't know, there were doors or something, which were really dumb because they said MLW on them, and then they said hit here and an X. So I'm like, okay, either they're making fun of themselves or they're really stupid and didn't realize that they let everybody see that. But so it's sort of like a big door, a wooden door, and they were using this thing, and then Sami pushes Mance's face down, pulls his tongue out, and staples his tongue to the fricking door. And it was his tongue was literally stapled to this thing. It was the most disgusting thing I ever saw. And I don't know. I just stuff like that really grosses me out. It's bad enough seeing stuff from Callahan. I don't like this Jimmy Havoc stapling crap. Not cool. Not cool. At the end, I liked it because when Vance actually took his tongue off, he picked up that piece of board and acted like anybody who would have, if you'd stapled somebody's tongue to something and they got loose, he beat the living snot out of Callahan with that board and then pinned him.
No, there's no need for it.
And
no.
That was it. Sami Callihan gone. Is originally it was supposed to be a bit of an angle where he was going to come back as a mask guy, but apparently some backstage stuff soured MLW on him. So Sami Callihan, he has gone the way of the Dino.
Jeez.
So
you can stay in Impact Wrestling now.
Yeah, stay in the toilet where you belong, turd. Anyhow, today's show, you know what? I am going to give it an A. I was thoroughly enjoying every part of this show.
I really enjoyed this show. Definitely an A for me.
My only concern about MLW these days is their champion. I'm really not sold on Tom Lawler yet, so I'm hoping we'll see something out of him that'll make me see what obviously management sees, because right now I don't get why he's the champion. But let's give it time. MLW hasn't really disappointed us.
I'm getting tired of this whole Contra unit stuff. I hope it ends soon.
I don't know. If you've noticed, I haven't really talked much about Contra unit. I know you have a lot. I'm not sure what to think of it. Every time I think I dislike it, they kind of do something a bit cool. So I'm just going to let it say. I'm just going to let it play out.
Yeah.
And I don't hate it so much as you do, but I also am not loving it as much as some are. So I'm going to let this one go and see where it goes. But like I said, this week's I'm giving an A. How about you, Elio?
Yep.
What are you rating it?
Yep, I'm going with an A. This week was very enjoyable.
It was. And you know what? Maybe not every week, but I don't mind, once a month let Selena do the show. It's interesting.
Yes.
I kind of want to now to see somebody else do the show maybe once, What if you had a Jim Cornette experience one week, or
maybe I should produce a show.
Yeah, it's not a cartoon, Elio. Moving on. All right, it's time to Ring of Honor. And there we're going to sing our most honorable gentleman, the gentleman himself. Elio, tell us what's going on in Ring of Honor this week.
Okay, this week's Ring of Honor was a lot better than what we got last week.
Which wasn't hard to beat.
Now, this week's Ring of Honor started off with Hiroki Goto defeating Hikuleo.
Mm-hmm. What did you think of this match?
Then we got a Kenny King promo on Jay Lethal.
Okay. You don't want to talk about the match at all?
The Hiroki Go-To match was pretty cool.
I like
that.
Go-To.
That was a good match. I liked that match. Hikuleo, I've not seen much from him except for Japan.
All right. Well, you know who he is, though, right?
I do know who he is.
Okay,
yeah.
he is the son of what was his name? Oh man, his face is in front of me. Who's the Tongan guy that everyone's terrified of? Haku. He's the son of Haku.
Yeah.
He's also the son of he's also the brothers of the Gorillas of Destiny. He's only been wrestling for 2 years, and he's an immensely tall man, getting better. I feel bad for Hiroki Goto. He's pretty exciting, but he doesn't seem to get much. Doesn't seem to get much outside of a few appearances he does in the U.S. He really doesn't get very many wins in New Japan at the top of the card. So this was a good match. I had no doubt, being a New Japan fan, I had no doubt that Goto. There's no way in hell Hikuleo was going to beat Goto. Next match.
No. Next match, we got no match because it was supposed to be Kelly Klein and Jenny Rose taking on Allure, but Allure attacked them during the commercial.
Yeah.
So then we had Lifeblood defeating the Shinobi Shadow Squad.
Oh, brother. These are just hyped up squash matches, aren't they?
Now, they introduced Lifeblood and PJ Black. So is he not an official member?
I don't know. It's hard to tell because I heard he had been, but at the same time, these were taped weeks ago, so maybe we have to, I'm going to say this. When I hear something like that, I try not to report it as news until it finally comes through on the television part, because then, it may ruin it for people who are going to watch it. So I know some stuff I've heard about PJ Black, but let's wait till the television announces it.
Okay.
The match itself was okay. Match itself was okay, but like I said, what do you expect from Shinobi Shit Squad?
Yeah. Then in the main event, we had a 4-way with Jeff Cobb defeating Jay Lethal, Roosh, and PCO. Jeff Cobb defeated the tour. Jeff Cobb pinned Jay Lethal after delivering the Tour of the Islands, following that distraction from Kenny King.
I love the Tour of the Islands. That's a pretty cool move because I've seen it live a few times. Jeff is strong to be able to do that to guys. I don't care how big you are.
No. Jay Lethal delivered the lethal injection, and Kenny King made his way to ringside, and he's yelling at Lethal that he's using King's move without his permission.
Oh, brother. Kenny King. Wow. I don't even know what to say, Kenny King. You are reaching levels of futility that are just unbelievable. Unbelievable.
I just don't understand where's this push coming from with King.
Why? I don't even understand why. Ugh. All right. What did you think of the show overall? How would you rate it this week?
It was a lot better than last week's. I'm going to go with a B-.
Holy crap. That's exactly... No kidding, folks. I actually thought in my head, I'm going with a B-. I was curious what Elio was going to say. There was some way better wrestling, but still there wasn't lots of great stuff on it. There just wasn't anything that was terrible. So yeah, a B-. Mm-hmm. So fans, it looks like once again MLW was the clear-cut winner of our little race here. We should start, I guess it's late now, but I wish we kind of started recording who won when we started rating these matches, who won every week, and see how many wins like a wrestling podcast does. But I'm pretty sure MLW has probably won at least 90% of the of the polls we've had on this. Well, not polls, but at least our little rating system.
Well, because they're entertaining.
Well, you know what? I was just about, I had a nice smile on my face. And I was thinking, all right, this has been a good week of wrestling. And then I realized that the next segment is the Book of Shame, where I have to relive all the stupid, pathetic, ridiculous, goddamn stupid things in wrestling every week. Elio, open that goddamn book and tell me what kind of stupid-ass losers are in there.
Yeah, well, the book is open, and our first entry is Ace Austin.
Ace Austin, you dime store idiot magician wannabe 12-year-old punk. Sick of you, brother. So sick of you. Ugh, you stay in.
Next, we have El Hijo de Los Angeles Park.
Man, how can you even look in the mirror with any shred of dignity with the way you dress? You might as well be at a mall at Santa Claus time handing out candy canes, you... Ugh. Next.
Facade.
You're the only one who actually makes me laugh on this list. You represent Charlie Brown never kicking the football. You're such a loser, Facade. I even feel like I even feel like you almost don't deserve to be in the book because you've had it so pathetically, obviously bad your entire life, looking at the way you cut your hair, dress, and wrestle. So,
And we haven't seen him at all.
yeah, and that's probably about the only good thing about him. But I'm keeping you in here until you make an appearance on national television again. And if you look normal and you're not still the loser we have, we may take you out then. But until now, you get to live on the infamy of the patheticness that we saw of Facade. Next.
Then we have that word that begins with F.
Yep. Yeah. I hate that word. I hate it. I'm glad I try and block it out. I mean, they might have even said it this week, and I hope they didn't, because I'm pretty sure I'm going to have a brain tumor someday when that happens. Just
I don't think they did this week.
Thank God. Next.
Next we have is Jimmy Havoc.
Ugh. You know what? Jimmy Havoc's hilarious too. I mean, okay, he's a shit-ass wrestler who can't do anything but this hardcore garbage, right?
Yeah.
And then sometimes you see a wrestler like that, and then you see them normally, and you think, oh, he looks like a normal guy. But we saw him in
Right.
MLW this week wearing a suit, trying to look like a normal guy, and he just looked like some creepy as fuck emo punk. Ugh. Somebody beat him up. Next.
And next we have Madman Fulton.
Ugh. I'm glad we haven't seen this loser in a while. And you know what? We're not going to for a while.
And then we have Miguel Cole.
Miguel Cole. You know what?
Miguel Cole.
I want to be ranty and ravey about Miguel Cole this week. And we should. I mean, I can't believe the president sent him to Vegas. I know I have my passports all set and ready to go, baby. I'm clear as a whistle. You know what I'm saying? And I know you're all ready to travel across the U.S., so pretty weak excuse that we didn't have our passports. But they're going to take a sock puppet?
I know.
Okay, fine.
What's going on?
I don't know. But somehow, Canada's getting crapped on again. Miguel Cole, you suck. Next.
Next, we have Nigel McGuinness.
Oh, Nigel McGuinness, you always suck. You make me so mad it's not even funny. Like, I can't even think of... Oh, man, you are like stomach acid coming up out of the back of my throat. I would rather sit... Ugh. Who thought it was a good idea to give this idiot stick a mic? I mean, man, he is the lowest common denominator of bullshit. He makes Renee Young seem like frickin' James Earl Jones reading the news. My God.
Wow.
She's almost like Morgan Freeman reading your obituary compared to him. I mean, ugh. Next.
Next, we have Sami Callihan, plus 2 asterisks.
No, you're going to add another asterisk because I seen him hawk the biggest loogie ever into the face of our good old boy Mance Warner. You know what? I was going to give you an extra asterisk anyways because I don't like the fact that you're teaming with our boy Mance and that you're going to bring him down to your disgusting bodily fluid crap level. But you lost and you're gone. Disgusting. We don't have to deal with your bullshit anymore. You're out of there,
pal. You go. Sami Callihan plus 3 asterisks. KC the Updater.
Oh, I'm glad. You know what? Maybe somebody heard us because now we haven't seen her for a little bit.
Oh, wow.
I'm going to leave her in because, man, she represents a bad futility of something. And until you know what? It just makes my blood boil. Sometimes I don't understand if MLW is playing a joke or if this is real. So I'm going to take it as this is real right now. So she's going to stay in there. If I found out she's just kind of a joke that they're playing with the fans, then I'll laugh along. But right now, she's really poor. She's piss poor, man.
Okay. Then we have the Crisp Brothers.
Oh, I'm so glad we're not covering Impact for a while because, man, the Crisp Brothers, man, they make white trash trailer people seem luxurious.
It's just going to get even worse.
Oh, my goodness. They're just the lowest common denominator of hillbilly you can find. They're just pathetic. How they keep getting used, I do not know. But then when you look at Impact, the way they bring in shit, it's, yeah, okay. I get it. No, they suck. They're in forever.
Then we have The Hunt.
Oh, my Lord. The Hunt. I didn't realize I went to bed and woke up and it was 1985 and I was watching the WWE. The WWF. These cartoon losers who what are they? The Tom and Jerry of today? I mean, they're living cartoon characters. Can't stand The Hunt.
Apparently, from my understanding, from what I saw this week, apparently their faces because they're feuding with Gallus. What? I don't understand. I don't know.
There's a feud that no one gives a crap about anywhere.
Jeez. And our final entry is Tommy Dreamer.
Oh yeah, final entry. The world's oldest wrestler. The world's oldest crappiest wrestler.
Well, Impact now has the Sandman as well.
Oh yeah, another useless wannabe. A has been. At least the Sandman had his time. Tommy Dreamer is just I don't know. Even back in the day, I never liked the guy. He's terrible, just freaking terrible. Yep. He gives me nightmares. I don't want to deal with him. My anger's going away. I'm living in fear of turning on my TV and seeing Tommy Dreamer making a guest appearance on some other show. So yeah, you're in, buddy. You're in. But you know what? I have an entry for this week's.
Oh, okay. What's the entry?
I've been putting this off. Every week we laugh when we see this guy. We make fun of him because we don't understand what anybody sees in him, because he's probably one of the most boring wrestlers I've seen in a long time. I'm not even mad. I'm just tired that they're wasting time showing me Kenny King when you could be showing me any other wrestler in the world. So you know what? For your record of futility, for piss poor acting, for terrible wrestling, for generating so much amounts of me not giving a fuck, I put in Kenny King.
Kenny King. Alright, the new entry into the book is Kenny King.
You just read the book! Oh, shame.
It's this time of the show, fans. I am emotionally spent. So much anger, so much disgust and revulsion that this is what the book of shame is cathartic for me, my friends. I'm sorry, Tony. Let me use a smaller word. It is good for me. There we go. It is good for me, Tony, to be able to put those in. So I know I'm speaking too much Canadianese when I'm using 3-syllable words, so I'm going to try and tone that down for you, buddy. Yeah, it feels better now. It's like all week I've had all that brewing in my stomach, and I just managed to just vomit all over the floor. And there's speaking of vomit, there's Sami Callihan. But now I feel better. And fans, I got to tell you, it's been a tremendously fun week as always. Elio. Mm-hmm. You're a hoot to hang with, my friend. It's great talking wrestling with you. Great having some laughs. First of all, before we get going, fans, definitely tune in to us weekly, and also the guys over at Wrestling POV. I mean, you've got the tremendously talented Rick Serrano III. You have some hack puppet. You have, what is his name? Tony, I can't understand more than 2 syllables, Diaz. And Mimi, I couldn't pick wrestling if a gun was pointed at my head, Goody. They do, however, an extremely funny show. It's a lot of laughter. They do. There. Except when they're trying to make fun of your humble host here. You know, they accused our poor host Elio of being an alcoholic, and I'll tell you something. I don't care that Elio's an alcoholic. He's my alcoholic. So to hell with you guys. All right. Where can people find our show, Elio?
Okay, so you can find us on Facebook at Wrestling POV Podcast, on Instagram Wrestling POV1, and Twitter at Wrestling POV, and we are on iHeartRadio, Spotify, iTunes, and all those other social media platforms.
Well, you know what, folks? Sorry, go on.
As one of my friends says, if you can't find us, you're lying, because we're everywhere.
All right. Well, you know what, folks? We want to thank all of our listeners across Canada, across the U.S. We want to thank all our fans in Europe and Asia, and especially all our fans out in Russia. You guys are still downloading the show and having a good time. And you know what, Elio? I want to say, before you, I know after this show you're probably going to sit down with a Texas Mickey full of some kind of alcohol and drink yourself into oblivion. But before that happens, my friend, I want to say I enjoyed being with you this week. Look forward to next week. And hey, treat your liver better, Elio. I need you around here for a while. Folks, have a great night.
I'll do that.
You guys have a great night, and we'll see you next week. Say goodbye to the good folks, Elio.
We will talk to you all next week, fans.